It was not until much later that the two girls were able to return to Miss Minchin's school. The man at the church who had finally pulled Becky to safety insisted on escorting the girls back. This isn't going to end well, okay, good. So they know we've sort of fucked up and walked out. His presence was welcome as both girls' arms were sore and so weak that they could not have safely contained Tybalt for the journey. At the door, they thanked their good Samaritan and sent him on his way, then shut the door firmly before depositing the cat into his territory. Okay, so the priest didn't want to come in, so maybe we're not completely fucked. Maybe no one's noticed where we've gone. There was no sign of Miss Minchin, no hubbub. They had not been missed at all. Becky could have died today and no one will know or care if they did. Look, you gotta look at the positive, guys. We're not getting an absolute bollocking. I'd say that's a positive. Just saying. It's not right. No one appreciates her as she deserves except for me. No one loves her as they should except for me. And there, as the realization struck her, she froze in place. I love Becky more than as a friend, more than any princess loved her king. This is going where I think it's going, isn't it? It felt selfish and prideful to place herself above others in that way, but in that moment Sarah's heart was overflowing. But what can I do? What can I do? We are both prisoners here. We are helpless and Miss Minchin will grind us down to nothing. No matter how bad it seems, life has to be better. It just has to be. Miracles happen, good people still exist, I will always believe that. Were you not there when, you were taken away from the mines? Sarah's growing sympathy for her neighbour added a new possibility to any errand she might be sent on in the evenings. There was a chance that his curtains might not be drawn and she might be able to see inside. See, this just means, you're maybe a tad desperate. That's all I'm saying. When that was the case, if no one was about, she would stop and take hold of the iron railings, looking into those warm rooms and wishing good thoughts to her adopted friend. Perhaps kind thoughts reach people somehow, even through windows and doors and walls. Well, they don't, but, you can make yourself feel better. Perhaps you feel a little warm and comforted and don't know why. That would be the fireplace. The man sat alone in an armchair by the fire, nearly always in a great dressing gown, and nearly always with his forehead resting in his hand as he gazed hopelessly into the fire. If anything, that purely just says that your thoughts and hopes clearly don't work. Come on. This sounds miserable. He always seems as if he were thinking of something that worries him. He has got his money back, so he ought not to look like that. I wonder if there is something else. Oh, you wonder, do you? I hope you will get happy again. And well, we can all dream. I'm so sorry for you. I wish you had a little missus who could pet you as I used to pet Papa when he had a headache. I should be like your little missus myself, poor man. Good night, God bless you. She would go away feeling quite comforted and a little warmer herself. Her sympathy was so strong that it seemed as if it must reach him somehow. Well, it's clearly not going to, is it? But, well, we can all dream. On this day, although Sarah's viewpoint through the window did not allow her to see it, the man in the house was not alone. Has he gone delirious and he started seeing ghosts? Alright, okay. He hasn't gotten much better since he's been here, has he? Carmichael! I cannot believe that the wretched woman has disappeared without a trace. Oh, for God's sake. Fine. Okay, we're just going to put ourselves up there for the moment. Who is that? A chubby-faced butler? I mean, it must be a man, because he's called Carmichael. With the loss of her two best-paying pupils in such a short time, Madame Pascal's finances were in great disarray. Don't know who that is. She apparently found it necessary to close her school entirely. It was something of a scandal in Paris, which turned out to our benefit. Without those rumours, we might not have found the child's trail so quickly. But your sources have no idea what might have happened after that. How would they? It's like fucking 1800. You can't just fucking look at the ground and try and track. These footprints seem weird. No. As the story goes, after her father's death left her unprovided for, she was then adopted, taken in by the parents to the little girl who had so recently died at the same school. The two girls had been close companions before the accident, you see. After that, her child without parents and her parents without child. It seemed the best solution all around. So this family, who were extremely well-to-do Russians, took the child off her hands. Right. Okay. Is the game's racism going to come more into view here? After that, Madame Pascal found herself in difficulty and absconded. I have not been able to contact her. Okay, no, so it's alright. When I think of all the dreadful things that could happen in this world to a child without protection, if this is the child you're in search of, she would seem to be in the hands of people who can afford to take care of her. But if you say if the child was the one I search for, you say if, we are not sure. Look, come on, photography didn't even exist yet. Cut him some slack, buddy. Without Madame Pascal's confirmation of her father's identity, we cannot be certain. Still, the circumstances were curiously similar. An English officer in India had placed his motherless little girl at the school. He died suddenly after losing his fortune. If you are certain that the child was left at a school in Paris, it seems most likely that she is the one. Oh, I see. Oh, God. I wonder how many of you knew that already, and I just look like a silly sausage. I'm next door, damn it! Oh, well, they'll find us eventually. They probably have to. My dear fellow, I am certain of nothing. I never saw either the child or her mother. The mother was a French woman, and I had she wished her child to be educated in Paris. I heard she wished her child. Okay, that makes more sense. But I cannot know. So how do you know us, exactly? You just a crazy stalker, man? We're going to come round to your house to taste, I don't know, varying different tablets. Take this tablet. This will make you get 2 heads. Oh, but Papa, I now have 4 fingers. Well, it's a side effect. As if drawn by... Oh, come on. There, okay? I am now the fucking headpiece of the fireplace. As if drawn by the sound of raised voices, the Lascar whom Sarah had seen in the attic entered, bringing a tea service with him. Okay. Rest yourself, Sahib. You do no good if you are not well. He accepted a cup with a sigh. You are right as always, Ram. Sahib must just mean some sort of superior... I don't know. Still, I must find the girl. If she is alive, she is somewhere. If she is friendless and penniless, it is through my fault. Why was I not man enough to stand my ground when things looked black? My poor Ralph put in the scheme every penny that he owed. He trusted me. He loved me. Oh, I see. You're the friend, you bastard. You're the reason I'm living in oh. I should fucking smash down that window, mate, and give you a good seeing to. And he died thinking I had ruined him. I, Tom Carrisford, who was at Eton, closer than a brother to him. What a villain he must have thought me. Ram Das... Oh, fuck you. Come on. There's only so many times I can move my camera. Ram Das rested a comforting hand on his master's frail shoulder. You were ill, Sahib. Your mind was not whole. You are not to blame. Overwhelmed with despair and half delirious with fever because I was weak. And then I ran away and collapsed in the jungle alone. I thought I wanted to die. I know well that I nearly did. He looked up at Carmichael with a self-deprecating smile. It was only thanks to Ram Das that I was discovered and brought back to the hospital in time. Where were you? Oh, whatever. If you had no strength of heart, Sahib, you would not have survived those weeks of fever. So now you're fine, I see. Maybe I shouldn't be so bitter. Mr. Carrisford reached up and clasped the other man's hand. You are too good to me. Mr. Carmichael harumphed gently, reminding them of his presence in the room. Look, we're not dissing you. Just because you're not getting a little bit of love doesn't... Oh, whatever. Yes, well, when I returned to consciousness, poor Crew was dead and buried, and my own mind was in a haze. I did not recall the child's existence for weeks, and I've never been able to remember her name. Surely he must have spoken of her to you. Anything he said about the school could be a clue. With nothing more to go on, it will be difficult for me to tell if we have found the right girl. So it's fine. I'll know the butler. They'll remember it's called Sarah. Mr. Ram Das will be like, hey, I know someone called Sarah who just lost her, fortune shit, and then suddenly we'll be fine. I'm being optimistic, aren't I? Unscrupulous people might not hesitate to provide a false heiress. He used to call her by an odd pet name he had invented. He called her his little missus. But the wretched diamond mines drove everything else out of our heads. Well, don't despair, we shall find her yet. According to my Paris sources, the good-hearted Russians who left Madame Pascal's sources were named Anisimov. I mean, you're wrong. It's not that... whatever. They most likely lived in Moscow. I will go there and see what can be learned. If I would be able to travel, I would go with you, but I can only sat here wrapped in furs and stare at the fire. I am useless. You are improving. If I travel to Moscow and that is not Ralph Crew's child, I will return. Yeah, but this is fucking ages ago. To get to Moscow and back, man, you're going to be a while. By then, I'm sure you will be able to move on to Paris with me to continue the search. Have faith. Carrisford shook his head. When I look into the fire, I seem to see Crew's gay young face gazing back at me, waiting for me to reassure him, and I cannot answer. If only we had never parted, or never reunited. Is that truly what you wish, Sahib, that you stayed together? No, of course not. It would have come to the same end in time if we had travelled to France together as we once planned. And yet, better by far that I had never found him again, than to know that it was I who brought him to ruin. I must not fail him now, whatever the cost. Great, so... well, I mean, he's looking a little bit worse for wear, isn't he, at the moment? Anyway, let's go get us some pain. I hate our life. Sarah sat upon her hard attic bed looking down at her feet, which were red and throbbing. Emily, as always, smiled absently on the proceeding. She was not sitting up quite straight today, as Sarah had bumped against her chair and not yet taken the time to right her. It has been hard to be a princess today, Emily. It has been harder than usual. It gets harder as the weather grows colder and the streets get more sloppy. Sloppy. What a peculiar word to hear back in these times. When Lavinia laughed at my muddy skirt as I passed her in the hall, I thought of something horrible to say, all in a flash, and I only just stopped myself in time. I'm amazed considering how you've reacted to Miss Minchin's stuff in the past. You can't sneer back at people like that if you are a princess. But you have to bite your tongue to hold yourself in. I bit mine. She drew her knees up to her chest, wrapping her arms around her legs. It was a cold afternoon, Emily, and it will be a cold night. Quite suddenly, she put her dark head down against her arms. Don't you just love violently low-flowing flying planes? Oh, Papa, what a long time it seems since I was your little missus. There was no answer. After a few moments, she lifted her head again, smiling as bravely as a soldier. The sun is setting, Emily. We mustn't waste it. I never guessed how short the days in England could be in winter. I must bid a good night to the sun, so that it does not decide to leave us completely. Oh, the machinations of a small child. The sun might be more comfortable in India, but we need it in... No, it's too fucking hot in India. At me, it's like 30-odd outside, and I'm still sweating violently. With that bit of self-encouragement, she managed to climb to her feet and raise the skylight to let in the sun. Oh God, it's a monkey. No sooner had she swung up the window than a bundle of fur blurred through the opening, alighting solidly on Sarah's shoulder with all its paws before springing off again. It was the monkey, Sharan. Oh dear, he's got loose. Just fucking lock the doors and, someone will see him eventually. He landed on her bed then and scampered towards her pillow, then swung himself around into the darkness beneath the bed frame, with only the long curve of his tail still in sight. Sarah looked quickly at the door to her room to be sure it was closed. Miss Minchin would be furious at such a creature running loose through her skull. Oh, come on, you think I'm fucking keeping a monkey? How on earth would I keep that quiet? Then again, you would just blame me anyway. I sort of see where you're coming from. But what was she to do with him? Helpless, she stuck her head back out of the skylight and found the concerned face of the Lascar there, opposite. Miss Sahib, have you seen... Oh, sir... Okay, so he stuck his head through the window, presumably. Sharan has come through my window. Should I try to catch him for you? He is hiding under my bed. There was an angry chittering. She looked down to see that the monkey was now running across the floor towards the rusty grate. Oh, God, he's making so much noise. We're in so much trouble. Ah, Miss Sahib, it would not be wise. He is a good monkey and will not bite unless one pulls at his tail, but he is very difficult to catch. He flies like the lightning when he wishes. He does not know you, and I do not think he will allow you to catch him. Even myself, he obeys only when he chooses. But he is not wicked, only playful. He sounds like a little shit. Oh, imagine having a pet that did that well. I will obey you, but only sometimes. Oh, I believe that I might be able to coax him if it is allowed that I enter. He is very polite. He must be concerned that I will think it a great liberty for a strange man to enter my room, as if they were truly mine. Like a grand hostess, she spread an encompassing arm. What's with this music all of a sudden? If you can cross the rooftop safely, then enter and be welcome on your quest. Sharan is running from side to side of the room. I don't think he is happy. He's the one who came in here, okay? That's his fault. The rooftops of London were a treacherous terrain of loose, damp tiles, slanting surfaces, and terrifying drops. Only the direst of threats could ever coax Sarah out of her window. The Lascar, however, slipped across and through as easily as if he had been walking on the roofs all his life. He landed on Sarah's little bed with scarcely a sound, and then to the floor where he bowed? No. So imagine that, he came in and just started wrapping a ribbon up by himself, where he bowed a salam to her. Don't know what that is. Is that something I should know? It was the first time she had seen him so clearly. Oh God, your moustache is truly terrible, sir. The look of him, the colour and fabric of his attire still evoked that painful half-familiarity of her lost memories, but the man himself was unusual. His bow had been as deep and polite as any Indian servant, but he moved as lightly as a magician and stood with the strong shoulders of a soldier. His eyes and his smile were warm, if enigmatic. The knife on his belt he wore with confidence. Oh, he is like a character in a fairy tale, the brave wanderer who will surpass all the witch's challenges. And for that reason, he remained fixed in Sarah's mind as the Lascar, and it did not occur to her to ask his name or to provide her own. Maybe you should at some point. He's gonna think it wildly rude. Come on, introduce yourself as Sarah Crewe. He was there the other day. Thank you for your hospitality, Miss Sahib. His eyes swept the room, and Sarah felt a sudden surge of shame. Everything here is dirty and ragged, including me. I am no longer fit to be called Sahib. But if he had such thoughts, he did not voice them. Well, of course he's not going to. It's your fucking house. Imagine if he just randomly did that. Oh, Miss Sahib, your belongings are truly awful. Like, no. Now for this little one. It was not a very long chase. The monkey prolonged it a few minutes, evidently for the mere fun of it, but presently he sprang chattering onto the man's shoulder. You see, he is hard to catch when he is running, but when he wishes he will come to a friend. He is like a child to me and my master. Many thanks, Miss Sahib, for your aid. Perhaps if you meet again, Sharan will know you as a friend. 2 times, that's all it takes, and we're a friend. Not the most loyal monkey, is he? I hope so. He did not presume to stay long within her rooms, and salaamed again and made a swift exit. God damn it, we didn't even say our fucking name. That would have done it. All we needed there was to say our name, and we'd be saved. Sarah, you're useless. It gave Sarah a wistful sort of pain to recall that she, the drudge whom the cook had insulted less than an hour ago, had once been surrounded by people who salaamed just so whenever she went by. What a kind man. He could not help but see how shabby this room of mine is, but he still spoke of me as if I was someone important and valuable. He doesn't know you. Like, so think, like, Sarah really doesn't think much of people, does she? She walked around her room, setting Emily back in place upon her chair and righting any other objects disarrayed by the monkey's passage. If only we, all of us, could go back to India together. Yep, well, we can keep droning. Oh, god damn it, we didn't get enough pay and you're shitting me. I need to now go back and get pain. Oh, well, this is going to be fun. The days continued to grow colder and the nights longer. There were days on which Sarah tramped through snow when she went on her errands. There were worse days when the snow melted and combined itself with a mud to form slush. On such days, the study in which Indian The Indian gentleman's sat glowed with warmth and rich colour, but the little attic at Miss Minchin's was dismal beyond words. Becky sometimes crept into Sarah's room, and the two of them would huddle together under a shared blanket for warmth. If 'tweren't for you, miss, and your stories of the Bastille and being prisoners together, I think I should die here. Seems too real now, don't it? The missus is more like a head jailer every day she lives. I can just see them big keys you say she carries. I don't think you can think of her as a jailer. Something is bad at that point. And could like one of the under-jailers, and relations with the army man that helped throw over them nobles. Tell me some more, please, miss. Tell me about the subterranean passage we're dug under the walls. I'll tell you something warmer. I'll tell you about the tropical forest where Charan the monkey from next door used to live. Oh, so we still tell stories. I have seen him sometimes looking out the window with that mournful expression. I always feel sure he is thinking about the tropical jungle where he used to swing by his tail from coconut trees. No, he's probably thinking about how he can be a little shit next. But you never know. I wonder if he was captured to make a pet, or if he chose to leave the trees to make friends with tall people. Tall people? I think a monkey can probably distinguish between a human and a fucking monkey, but thanks. That is what the Lascar called himself, one of Charan's tall friends. I wonder if he left a family behind who had depended on him to bring home coconuts. He probably didn't eat coconuts, he's a fucking monkey. And ain't coconuts them big round hard ones, miss? Can a monkey eat them? Not that guy. Oh, well, she actually is talking about coconuts. They beat him against the... Oh, okay. Fuck me. I read that as him, and I was like, this story's taken a dark turn. They beat them against the rocks to crack them, then pull them apart with their paws. It must be hard work for such a small creature. Perhaps Charan grew tired of fetching food and leapt from the trees to land on the shoulder of a passing Lascar and became his friend, so that someone else would feed him. Imagine being a monkey with your own fur coat and friends to bring your meals. That is warmer, miss, but some ways, even the Bastille is sort of heating when you get to telling about it. That is because it makes you think of something else, does it? She wrapped the coverlet around herself until only a hint of her face could be seen in shadow. What have you to do with your mind when your body is miserable is to make it think something else. Can you do it, miss? Sometimes I can and sometimes I can't, but when I can, I'm all right. I believe we always could if we practiced enough. Okay, yeah, sure. When things are horrible, just horrible, I think as hard as ever I can of being a princess. I say to myself, I am a princess, a fairy princess, and because I am a fairy, nothing in this world can truly hurt me. I mean, you know, tell that to yourself when Miss Minchin thwacked you. I could believe you was a fairy easier than I could believe me, miss. You have to practice harder, that's all. We're nothing different, you and I. Now close your eyes and think about flowers, bright and red, beautiful, and nodding in the sunlight. Ever an optimist. Occasional thoughts that, you know, maybe we're not stuck in an attic. Unfortunately, Sarah, you're still stuck in an attic. And you told the only man who could get you out of there not your real name. Things aren't looking up. They can only go up from here. No, me neither.